Well, good morning, community. Welcome to Stroke of Genius Podcast Executive Experience. I'm your host, Aaron Avila. I've got a really interesting guest for you this morning. Her name is Beth Rivelli, and she's a motherhood coach and a paradigm shifter. And Beth moved from a place in her life from a divorce where she could barely pay the bills to, to building a company, building a life for herself, and building a financial freedom she'd never experienced before. Amazing. That alone is huge accomplishment. And another thing, she learned to play guitar later in life, which unlocked a creative portion of herself that she never knew before. So let me bring her online. Now, we only got 30 minutes together. Now, we'll go quick. So let me bring her online.
The Stroke of Genius podcast, hosted by brain aneurysm and stroke survivor Aaron Avila, sharing the experiences of survivors and CEOs. This is your destination for inspiration.
Good morning, Beth.
Good morning, Aaron. So good to see you.
Welcome here. Appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah, I got people. This has been a very interesting topic for me, mother coaching, and we're gonna find out a little bit more what that means. But you and I live pretty close together. You live about 30 minutes away.
Yes. Yeah, I'm in Sonoma.
You live in Sonoma, California, which is, like I said, like 30 minutes up Highway 12. So appreciate being here. So let's jump right into it. I have a few questions for you. You're a motherhood story coach. What is a motherhood coach? What is that?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about that. And then I'm also just going to say a little bit about what that does for women too. So I came up with this term, actually a marketing person I was working with came up with this term, motherhood story coach. And what it means is that I work with women who are in a space where they're developing their motherhood story. And what I do is very unusual and different because most people think when they hear motherhood story coach that I work with moms, but I don't. I work with women who are in that space where they are just thinking about motherhood, and they might be thinking about it in a place where it's kind of in the background of their mind, or they might be in a place where it's screaming at them every single day. And whatever the circumstance, the work that we do together is to really look to create a space for them to hear themselves talk, to talk about it, to get the feelings out, to actually process this part of their lives, because there just isn't a place, and we're not taught in our culture to talk about it. We are not taught to share this information with one another. And so usually what happens for women is they get to that space where they maybe are somewhere in their 30s and they go, I better start thinking about this. I better do something. And now, what am I going to do? And they just go right into taking action. And that's great. What I do is I bring another piece to that, which is the inside out stuff. So we look together at creating a vision. We work together at what are all of those messages that you're carrying, and we try to energetically clear them. We work on that. We work on forgiveness of the things that are in your way. And what ends up happening is a few things. Women have this sense of, whoa, they'll say over and over, I had no idea this was going on inside of me. I didn't know. I was truly terrified of becoming a mom, and I didn't know it, because we're just stuck in this angst and this cycle of going round and round on the thoughts and stuck in our heads, right? And we're not getting in touch with the heart piece of all of it. And we might say we are, and we're feeling it, but connecting all of that so that women can truly own it. And what happens at the end is they go, oh, I own this now. This is my thing. And the other thing that happens is they feel more in control of the whole journey. And in that, and I don't like to use that word control, to be honest, because it's not like you're ever truly in control of this journey. Like no matter what you do, no matter how you evolve, there's no guarantee that you're going to walk away or in this lifetime have a child, like a biological child. There's no guarantee. And so a lot of the message that I have for women is, what if you could become more at peace with whatever the outcome is in your life? Which is why I have titled my upcoming book, it's going to be released in spring, like Blow Up Your Motherhood Clock, Finding Joy with or Without the Baby. And I have a view into this that's a little different because I did miss motherhood. And so I know what it takes to get to the other side and to actually still have a full life and to find joy, regardless of whether or not you have that child, which I'm going to tell you can be a very difficult grief process to walk through. It is not easy. And some women get through it easier than others, but it is, if you're truly listening and you really wanted a child and it didn't happen, that's a really difficult pill to swallow. And so it puts me in a position where I can see in a different way what's going on in our culture and what women are up against. And so I'm here to create a space for them, because as much as I believe you can be okay no matter what happens, I also want them to have their dream. I want them to have the thing that they want. And I want them to do it with like better than me. I want them to do it in a way that has more joy in it, that has more power in it, that has more freedom in it. So that's what it means for me to be a motherhood story coach.
You and I were talking in the green room before the show yesterday and this morning. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I didn't realize till I spoke with you, the pressure from society that women have for having children. It's assumed you're going to.
Yeah.
And it's a box that society puts you in. And I didn't know. Yeah, I did myself. And for people out there that listen, I immediately heard, oh, you can't, why don't you adopt? Well, that right there proves our point that it is a pressure society puts on women.
Yes.
And you chose to be a career woman. You went from being struggling to building your own company to experience some financial freedom that you're experiencing today. So kudos to that, right, Beth? Good job.
Thanks. Yeah. Yes. So most of my financial freedom, just to be clear, came through my corporate work that I did. And then I left that to do this. So I'm still in the building stage as an entrepreneur.
How did you, again, that's one of my questions. Mm-hmm. How did you get in this space? How did you, it's such a niche.
Yes, it is.
It's such a unique thing. How did you get in this space? Is it backstory?
Yeah, no, there's a lot to it, Aaron. It's for me, bottom line is it's my evolution as a person and the evolution of spiritual downloads, like getting spiritual downloads and really realizing where I was headed. So it was like this combination of mind, spirit, emotions, all this stuff going on at the same time. And so as I said, I was somebody who biologically missed motherhood, right? And quick aside, thank you for calling that out about the saying about adoption, because it points to, let me just solve that for you. You don't need to solve it, right? I'm okay. But anyway, I really, really thought I was going to be working with women who were like myself, who had missed motherhood. I'm a part of an international community called Lighthouse Women that is just for women who have missed motherhood. We call it childless not by choice, involuntarily childless by circumstance. There's so many different ways to talk about it. I thought those would be my women I was going to work with. I'm going to work with them and help them through that process. And the thing that, as I dug in and I started writing more, and usually for social media, like the social media thing just really forced me to have to sit down and be quiet and listen. And like, what am I going to write? What do I want to say? And as I started doing it, I realized I'm like, if I'm working with women who have already missed motherhood, I'm working with a symptom. What's the root cause of all of this that's going on? Why is it that 1 in 5 women in the Western world on average are childless? Now, a small percentage of those people have intentionally chosen it, but the majority have not. And there's so much pain around it that people don't even talk about or know about. It's like this invisible, disenfranchised grief, which is a whole nother area that some people are, talking about out there. But I was like, why is this happening? What's going on? And I realized, I'm like, there's just no education. We have no conversation. There's no education. There's no space for women who are on their way to motherhood to even talk about it. And I think back to like in my late 30s, I'd just gone through a divorce. I started freaking out inside, like, what am I going to do about the kid thing? And my story is a little bit different. Most women just tend to keep freaking out. Like I had this level of denial going on. Like, of course, it's just going to happen. Of course, at some point it will just happen, Like I just kept going forward and dealing with all the trauma from my marriage and like trying out different romantic relationships and things not working. And then at 42, my body decided to go into early menopause. And that's very early. And so in a sense, I always say my body made the choice for me, but I still had to make the choice, right? I still had to choose what kind of life I wanted to live in spite of all that. So I started, as I was digging in, I was like, there's just no space. I remember being in that place. What are the women who are in that space? What kind of support are they getting? Nothing. They're getting nothing. I mean, you can go now, women are into like, okay, get your fertility tested, freeze your eggs. But these are all like actions that we can take. What about the emotional piece? What about the spiritual piece? So I create a space for the holistic approach. It's not just this kind of the way I see it is like because we tend in taking action, it's more of like this masculine energy that we're inserting into it rather than a feminine energy, which I think is the more holistic, deeper inside out approach. It's not, now I'm not saying, and I don't advocate for people to not take action. The very reason why I do the work with women I do is so they can take action, but take it from a place that is truly their unique path rather than the path that they think they're supposed to be on.
It's interesting that you bring up a point, and that there is no space for women to talk about this.
Yes.
There really is not. I told you earlier before the show, I have a cousin that does not have children.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize the pressure she must be under.
Yeah.
I love her dearly, and I don't want her, but the pressure is really unfair. It's really unfair to the woman this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Well, I mean, and this has its roots in, our very patriarchal set up society, like our role as women and what we've played. And so these are some of the remnants of that, like these mindsets. And what I'm trying to do is say, well, we have freedom and choices as to how we want to live our lives. And what is it that you want? And how do you want to move forward? And truly like being empowered in that place and not just going into that automatic default that we all do. Like there's just this automatic that we go on. I mean, I've had people in my program who are powerful coaches. These are people who live their lives on purpose. These are people who live their life by design and believe that they can create their life, right? And when I talked to them about this part, like there was that sudden realization of, whoa, I've never even stopped to look at this part of my life. Exactly. And realizing there's this whole piece of the puzzle that never even got factored in. And so what happens then is once they stop to look at this part of their lives and they open that motherhood door, which is usually sitting there with cobwebs on it, right? Like they open that door, it actually opens them up in new ways to other possibilities in their lives, in other areas of their lives, like their relationships. So I just had a woman finish my program who told me, I didn't realize that when it came to my partner, we weren't even on the same, we couldn't be on the same page because I didn't even know what page I was on.
Right.
And so like, but she thought she did. She kind of did. And she was walking around with this vague idea. They want to foster a child. But she didn't have any clue. And then once she dug into the work, she was like, oh, now I understand, really, this is clarified for me what I truly want. And now I can have real conversations with my partner about that. Because before there was just a tension and we weren't going anywhere.
Yeah, we're talking about creating a space for the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But even within the relationship, there's no space for that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like taboo or something. You don't talk about it. You just endure. And the one that really endures the most, I don't know, agony, the most turmoil is a woman. She's the one that's under all the pressure. But to you woman out there that is wrestling with this very topic, please reach out to Beth. We will put all, like, you have a seminar coming, your seminar, don't you?
Yeah, my next program starts it starts March 15th. It is a 14-week program. So this is kind of like jumping right into the deep end. So I usually ask people to do, I have a text community that I do. I have an online assessment that people can walk through to really gauge where they're at with their motherhood journey. And then I do a motherhood clarity call with people. So what I'm going to tell you about right now is like going from 0 to 60, jumping into the deep end. But I have all these other things in between that we can do together. But the program starts on March 15th. It is a 14-week program, and it has 7 live sessions. So whoever's in the group, you get a chance to come and I have it. It's a course that's set up in Mighty Networks that you go in, you do the lessons, the set for the next live session, and then we come together and we talk about it. So in it, there's always some kind of meditation that we do together. There are tons of exercises that I ask you to do, not in the session, but offline, so you can come prepared. And the women just have a chance to share the revelations that they're having and be supported. There's just such power in sharing with other people and hearing yourself talk to other people about it. Like just that alone is huge. And so at the end of it, you get to walk away with more freedom. And I'm going to tell you, the thing I hear the most is I now own what it is that I want. Like that's what you walk away with, is an ownership. You have a vision now, you have ownership of what it is, of that vision.
I mean, that's transformational.
It is.
It's a paradigm shift.
Yes, it is a paradigm shift.
I can see that now talking to you, because you're going from one way to another with the change of the way you think.
Yeah.
It's going to change your paradigm. But I'm curious now, Beth, for those women out there, how do they get hold of you? You talked about an introductory. What's best for them to get hold of you?
I think, well, there's a number of ways, obviously. I mean, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. I try to focus on LinkedIn because I think professional women especially need this support. You can take my assessment and then choose to meet with me to talk about the assessment. And I can provide you with all those links, Erin, so you can put them in the notes of this.
Put them in the video.
Yeah. And you can also just, if you just kind of sitting back going, I don't know about this, and this is really scary, and I'm not really sure I want to dip my toe in yet. You can dip a very small part of your toe in by doing my text community. So or you can take the assessment and just see where you're at and leave it at that. But the community, the text community is very simple. Every week I send out one text on every Monday. You get a question sent to you, a question about your motherhood journey that you maybe didn't even think to ask yourself. So that's it. That's the text community. And of course you can respond to me on that text community, but it's really, here's a question for you. Think about it. And that's it. And then in Mighty Networks, I have a community, and that's also where women come to do the course. And so those are all the ways. And as I said, the motherhood clarity call. So I'll give you the links for the text community. I will give you the link for the assessment. I will give you the link for the Motherhood Clarity Call, and then the link to look at the course. I don't have like a sign up here, go sign up and pay for the course, because this is such a sensitive topic. This isn't just a sign up thing. This is a let's have a conversation thing. Let's make sure this is the thing for you, because there are some other things out there that are more focused, but that are out there. And this isn't for everybody. This is for women who are in a space where they're really ready to dig into the work, where they have a self-awareness. They're used to doing work around their emotional and spiritual parts of themselves, and they want to integrate this part of themselves as well.
You know, curious, Beth, as me talk, is there element us from man's point of view? Is there guilt? Is there a shame that comes with not having children?
Wow, that's such a loaded question, because it really does depend on the person. It depends on, how you were holding motherhood in the first place, what it meant to you. And it really, it depends. And here's what else is coming up for me as I'm answering this question. Women who come into my program, there tend to be some commonalities in the default messages that they're carrying inside that are affecting their motherhood story, which I will explain in a little bit. But how they hold those things, how they relate to them, what motherhood would mean for them is so individual. And so for me, for example, there was my struggle so much in life has been this sense of belonging, which I think a lot of people can relate to, but like this sense of belonging. And so motherhood was just kind of another nail in the coffin for me in terms of not belonging in our culture. And that is something that I've had to work through, and I still continue to work through in my life. Not so much around motherhood, but in general. But that was attached to motherhood for me. So motherhood wasn't just having a baby. It was a sense of belonging for me. It was a sense of fulfillment. It was a sense of thinking that I couldn't be full and whole without that happening in my life. So did I have guilt around it? Not really guilt, just a lot of sorrow. Did I have shame? Yes, definitely shame for me was a big thing. Like, it was hard to talk about for a long time. I mean, I had groups of friends at one point who I never talked about this stuff. They never even knew I was married. Like, I would just meet with them just to like have fun and not have to talk about anything. And mainly because I didn't want to. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to have to bear, like, listen. It feels sometimes like people pity you, or like they have to fix you, right? And so it's like, I just didn't want to put myself in that position. So I stopped sharing at some point. And then, I worked through a lot of stuff, and I started sharing more. And now I'm obviously very open about it. So, yeah.
Well, that's really great. And I really encourage anybody out there, that any woman that may be in turmoil of this subject, to please get hold of Beth.
Yeah.
First of all, any type of shame is inappropriate. You don't feel it. You are who you are, except you are. And you are who you are in this life right this minute. Don't worry about anything else. And Beth will take it from there, because really I know I myself was adopted. And
okay.
I understand to some degree of the pressure that women feel. And I really didn't tell you, I didn't really realize there is no space to talk about this. Yeah. There is nothing. So appreciate being out there for the women. And I'm curious, Beth, what is the process? What has been your experience out there in the professional field? I would imagine that CEOs, you're a CEO of your own company, you went from struggling.
Consultant. Yeah, I was a consultant in technology.
Now you're a professional. And it's just amazing transformation. But I'm curious, those women out there, if you were to tell them, say, give me a piece of advice, they're
Mm.
struggling with this issue, what would it be? What give them some advice right now?
Yeah, I the first thing I tell women, I really advocate for people just taking one step, take one baby step, because usually they're spinning around in their heads and they're stuck and they're not taking action at all. And I always say, take one step. And what is that one step for you? And that could be a lot of things. It could be getting your fertility tested, getting a sense of like getting to know your body. It could be talking with a friend about it. It might be that simple. It could be, oh, are you still there? Okay.
Yeah.
You froze for a second. It could be, talking with me about it. It could be, but there are lots of different small steps that you can take. Start doing some research, understand your fertility, start tracking your ovulation. Like just to get to know your body, even if you're in a place where you're like, I don't plan to get pregnant for like maybe 5 or so years down the road. Start getting to know your body. There's just so little that we know about our bodies. We think we do, as we're just not educated.
Now, did they call you or did they email you? What's the best 2 ways to do it?
The best way is to, direct message me like through Instagram or email me. That's fine. Or direct message me on LinkedIn.
What is your handle?
It's Beth Rivelli Coaching. Yeah. And it's just Beth at BethRivelliCoaching.com. And we'll just put all that in the notes so people can reach out.
Yeah, I think it's really been important. Again, I just keep coming back. Looking back at my life, what I've experienced with this topic.
Mm-hmm.
There is advice to talk about it. So I appreciate you being on there and giving women the place to discuss it. Because I feel like I'm part of the problem because I put into the stereotype hook, line, and sinker. So
I get it. Yeah.
I also guilt. I feel guilty for not letting women be who they are. So
yeah,
I appreciate being out there.
Totally. I'll say one last thing, Erin. What I tell the women is this: like, I want you to be a human first, and then a woman, and then a mom. So your identity and who you are is so much more than becoming a mom. And even in this day and age, there are many young women who believe that there's this identity and fullness that come only when you become a mom.
Well, that is, man, we're down 30 minutes per time. That was very powerful.
Thanks.
Be who you are. Be happy to who you are. Don't be pressured into feeling you got to perform. Beth, thank you so much for being on the Circle of Genius podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin. This has been so great. Really appreciate it.
All right. So I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye.